Okay, I'm really excited. We're speaking to Sumit Abhichandani today. He is in Texas. He's a quality assurance leader at Visa, big corporate company. Usually, we're working with a lot of small entrepreneurs and leaders from smaller companies. So it'll be an interesting conversation today about AI and the world of technology. And I want to welcome you, Sumit. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me here, Chad. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. So let's just start off by telling us a little bit about your story. How did you even get into the computer world? Just give us a little bit of
Mhm.
background about you and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I completed my master's from University of Houston, and my major was electrical engineering. So I was always curious about engineering, coming from an engineering background. And I got an opportunity to, work as a software tester for Foxconn, testing the Cisco hardware application and also the software application, creating automation scripts. And that's where I realized how important is software quality when it comes to end user experience and end user adoption. And then as I grew in my career, I moved and started working in Polycom as a software tester, and then eventually transitioned to Visa. Got chance to work on different projects, primarily on the software testing side of things. Started leading a team. Now I lead a team of 80 plus engineers and also managers who are dispersed globally. And as I I started working on complex systems. I realized how critical AI is to harness efficiency, right, creativity, and that's where we started integrating AI into software testing and software products, so that we can again elevate the quality given the speed at which we deliver.
Have you always been good with computers?
Uh, yes, I mean, yes and no. Initially, when I start, I was not very good with programming to begin with. But then, I got to work on a project in my university. It was more like a hackathon style project, where I was able to deliver a software product, and then that software product actually went in live, and then I could see the number of users using the software, and that kind of grew my curiosity into computers, because I could see that the work that I was delivered is impacting lives, and that's how I got into this computer world, software testing.
Look, the user experience is one of the biggest hurdles and challenges for entrepreneurs who are
Mm.
launching new products, and they're launching what they think provides a solution. But from the user's end, if they don't
Mhm.
like the experience, and if the UI and if it's not easy and simple, and they can't find things, it can lose a customer within seconds of them trying out your app. How do you build a skill to test it the way you want, and then make? I mean, where do you get that from? How do you do that?
So it's a combination of the team that we have, right? The skills that we have within the team, and then apart from the skills, what we also do is we have incorporated automation, right? Automation has been very critical to deliver the regression or the quality, right? And now with AI, right, it has only enhanced the capabilities that we are able to deliver. So I'll give you an example where we were working on a project, and it had very compressed timeline, and we realized that we will not be able to deliver with just functional or manual testing, right? And then we realized that we need some level of efficiency, and then we had AI integration into our project and developed a defect modeling, or defect predictive model, where it was able to look at the past data or production data and identify areas where this probability of higher risk of create like identifying defects, and then we created scripts around it, and that helped us drastically, like more than 60% of our test script creation time and execution time was reduced, and we were able to successfully deliver that project, and with the quality and with the end user experience.
So when people use like the Visa app, is your team the one who's building that out?
We are one of the teams, right? Again, Visa is a very metrics organization. There are multiple different teams working on multiple different projects. So we are one of the teams that enable Visa products to be, used everywhere,
And can you give us
and by everyone.
and can you give me an example of how AI is infused in that process? Like where would someone know that AI is involved when they're using the Visa app?
Yeah, I mean, we have been working on, when it comes to like, for e-commerce shopping, right? So before, you had to go on an e-commerce website, select what you want, or you need to search for what you are looking for, right? So for example, Amazon website, right? Now, and with generative AI, right? So we have been able to now provide recommendations to end users, right? And enhance that the commerce, the AI commerce part of it, right? So that is saving some time so that you don't have to look for specifically search, right? Rather now you're getting recommendations. Hey, depending on your spend pattern or the search pattern, you're now getting recommendations which you can quickly, this makes sense. This is what I'm looking for. And then I'm also excited about the future where we now talk about agentic AI, right? So this agentic AI in commerce, they will not just be able to provide recommendations, but also be able to make a purchase on your behalf, right? Based on the patterns that you have. So so really excited about the future, and that's how we integrate AI and let users know that, hey, this is how we are using AI in our product.
How many people did you say that report to you that you're leading? You have a team of 80?
That is correct. So it's a growing team, right? It's not a static number. I would say 80 plus, because it's a growing team of engineers located globally, and I do have some managers as well who help me, manage the team.
Do you hire them or did your team hire them? Someone else on your team?
Yeah. So the interview process. I'm a part of the interview process. We have different QA leads who help with the interview process, and different QA team members, and also stakeholders, right, that help with the interview process.
Interesting. I'm curious to know how much of your day is spent using a chat GPT or an AI tool to enhance what you do?
I would say, again, it's not a static number, it's growing. So, currently 50 to 60% of my time is being used for ChatGPT. And it's not just for software testing, right? For even for like, writing emails, right? We have tools like Copilot, which we leverage to kind of help us, get that level of communication and clarity, right? Because when you are in a leadership role, right, it's very very critical to have uh, a sanity in the communication, right, and a clear communication. So that's where also we are leveraging, or rather I'm leveraging AI. And apart from that, we have the team leveraging for test case creation, for the automation tools that we are building, for CI/CD executions, right, CI/CD enhancements, for making our test framework more reliable. So we have like self-heal capabilities within the test automation tool. And then apart from that, we also are using this for accessibility monitoring and healing. So it's when we talk about accessibility, right? It's very critical, and especially products like Visa, right? When we talk about adoption from everywhere and uh, everyone and everywhere. So we also cater to disabled people, right? And it's very critical to have a software which is catering to which has the accessibility controls in place with respect to ADA compliance, WCAG compliance, and be able to cater to someone who is not like who is a disabled person, right? To be able to use our software, and that's another area where we are leveraging AI to help make sure that all of our products are accessibility compliant as well.
What would you say is your biggest challenge as a leader of a team that big?
Um, uh, so from a challenge, like, I'll talk about, we'll talk about, there's always conflict of interest within the team. So, helping solve for that. There are, capacity challenges. Whenever we create a project roadmap, right? There's always, real world challenges that we face, and we have to pivot, and then, align to the roadmap, or have those different conversations with our stakeholders to make sure that, if there are any changes to the roadmap, they are informed, and we have a mitigation plan. And coming to AI, right? So, when we started, using AI, there was some level of resistance, right? Because, you know, uh, there was some level of resistance because, there was a mindset that, hey, will AI replace human, right? There's always that thing. But then the way that I have, helped leverage AI within our team is, I have engineers use AI as like a co-pilot, and then identify areas which are pain point areas, right? Like we have areas such as patching, or framework maintenance, where we spend a lot of manual effort, and those are the areas that we have identified and be able to use AI to solve for. And now teams see the value add, that, hey, this is a complement to us, and it is bringing that level of efficiency. And their time, our team members' time, is now being able to used for, delivering business value or other innovative areas. Right? So yeah.
Do you remember when ChatGPT was released? Like the first time you got, or actually, my question, I have a question. Were you using the technology before ChatGPT got released?
So in Visa, yes, right. So AI has always been the forefront for Visa, right?
Right.
Even before Chat GPT, we have been, like, for example, predicting risk, right? Risk in the transactions, making sure that, we proactively, scan for risk in the transactions, and, share the data with our acquirers to make sure that, hey, you need to look into the data, and, here is the risk what we have predicted. So you need to look for those patterns and proactively block the patterns, so that we don't get into the dispute cycle. Because if a transaction is, like, if it is a not a valid transaction, the end consumer will create a dispute ticket, right? So, those kind of predictive risk analysis is something that Visa has always been invested in. With ChatGPT, it has provided a wider platform for us to further enhance to what we have developed, right? And it's only kind of improving, right? So, and we are adding guardrails, and protecting against ourselves against hallucinations. So yeah, at Visa, I know we have been kind of using this, like way in the past.
And who's responsible to train the team on using some of the newer stuff that they've never used before, because the technology is changing so much, the innovation, the
Mm-hmm.
release of new models. Do you guys have meetings and like talk about that and work together on that, or is it pretty much everybody just has to fend for themselves and figure it out?
Yeah, so we have brown bag sessions hosted by Visa, where we have either teams or leaders, right, coming from different areas to share how they are using AI, what they are developing, so that it's more like a knowledge base for everyone else, right? And because, again, being in a metrics organization, there is a tendency to get into the silos, and the team might be working on the same product. So that's where we have like brown bag sessions. We have our own university, where, there are trainings for AI that includes not just the Chat GPT, but even for Claude or upcoming AI LLMs. Right? And then apart from that, we also encourage, like, I encourage my team to go to, like, external sessions, participate in external sessions, and also, get into the trainings, right? Even external trainings, so they can. And then also we have had, like, leaders come from OpenAI, from Anthropic, to talk about their products and what's the vision as well, right? So we are not just aware of what's going on now, but also we are prepared for what's coming, right? And then we can kind of train ourselves there. So those are some of the things that we have been doing, and also I have been part of various forums like IA Forum or AI Frontier Network, where I had gotten an opportunity to talk about AI and also learn from the panel, right, on what the panel is doing or what's happening in other industries with respect to AI and the challenges around it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's funny as you were talking, I was thinking like how much of this bleeds into your personal life because I would imagine, you know, pre AI and post AI, you've learned so much and you
Mm-hmm.
know the abilities of what can be done, and yet you're still stuck, with a job that is an important job for Visa. But then on your own time, you get to play with this stuff, and and you have access to things and capabilities that the average person doesn't. So, do you spend a lot of time personally playing and building and coming up with ideas, or do you strictly focus on work? And are you a workaholic?
Uh, so it's a combination of both, I would say, Chad, right? So, the best way of implementing what's new or what we want to enhance is hackathons, right? So we conduct hackathons, and and then that also gives opportunity for our team members to kind of implement the ideas they have, right? Because everyone has creative ideas, and it's just we need to identify the platform for the team and even for myself, right? So I also participate in hackathons and share the ideas that and then some of these ideas have actually been implemented in production as well. So have been fortunate to kind of work on that. So yeah, and I do apologize the background.
Tell me more about that. What is a hackathon?
So hackathon. So we have like a small idea, right? That we want, like that is something that is not available as of today, but this is something if we implement will bring in efficiency, right? Either to our process, our product, right? So and then we have the idea established that hey, this is what we want to implement, right? And then we kind of have a share this within Visa, right? Hey, we have this list of ideas, and we look for volunteers, right? So there is a small team of 3 or 4 team members who come in, who are interested on working on those ideas. It could be like e-commerce, it could be risk, it could be just enhancing our internal applications within Visa, and then they come and work on those ideas, and then showcase that solution, that hey, this idea, here was the idea, here is the concept, this is how we have developed, and then if, let's say, if this is something that will add value or add ROI or revenue to Visa, then we go ahead and actually put that in implementation and production. So it's a initial concept for something that will bring efficiency, and if you want to kind of develop and put it in production.
Have you or your team ever been tasked to try to hack Visa to like test the vulnerability of Visa?
Um, uh, so basically, what we do is, again, security is the number one priority at Visa, right? Because we need to make sure that our systems are secure.
Right.
So what we do is we have our own set of tools that we run for security testing, right? To make sure that we are able to identify any risk in the product before it goes to production, right? So that's the level of testing that we do. We inject, of course, as part of the security testing, there are vulnerabilities that we try to explore, and make sure that we are able to resolve that before it goes to production. So yes, my team is engaged as part of the security testing, right? Yeah,
And how much involvement or current work is being done when you talk about the world in blockchain? Like, is it part of Visa's roadmap? Is it on the roadmap? Is it something you're working on now? Is that going to bring an extra layer of security or transparency to the world of using online digital currency? Like, talk to me about like where that's in and where that falls into your head, because nobody really understands it or knows about it. And if you're dealing with it, you can share a little bit of insight with us.
sure. Unfortunately, there's not much details I can provide because it's again,
Sure.
what I would say is at Visa, we are definitely looking into blockchain and see how we can harness because there is a level of efficiency that it brings in. It is the question of governance, right? So that's something that we are trying to figure out on to have proper guardrails and governance around it, so that we are able to leverage the efficiencies or capabilities that blockchain brings in. But definitely, we have a research team in Visa who is looking into this. My team is not directly engaged, but we do have sessions around it on how Visa is thinking about blockchain, and what are the challenges as well that we are trying to uncover, and any potential risk around it. So.
And like when ChatGPT got released, and there was this AI race where all these companies were racing to go do things, and then it could get a little scary because what's being released, how fast it's being released, the unknowns of what's being released, how people are using it. Is that the same concept kind of going on with Bitcoin? Are credit card companies like on a race to like incorporate Bitcoin and blockchain and all this new stuff? And this, I mean, is that the mindset internally inside a team like yours?
Definitely, right? Because one of the things for us in technology, which is very, very critical, is forward thinking, forward looking, right? And if bitcoins, blockchains is something that again will help us, you know, get from where we are today to maybe 10x efficiency or corresponding revenue. So that's something we definitely want to tap in, and that's where the team is actively looking into what the features, right, for crypto, for blockchain. But again, it's we also need to be very, very careful around this, to make sure that we have again the right level of governance to mitigate any risk around it.
And in your expertise, with your knowledge, I mean, I remember when I opened up my first Coinbase accounts, Coinbase sent me a credit card that I could use if cryptos is accepted at any merchant.
Correct.
How long before you think credit card companies in general, maybe not Visa, but just in general, are accepting either a Bitcoin payment option or pay your bill or some sort of integration with them? And is it already here? Like where is it on the roadmap? I don't even know. So I'm just curious to know, like, just in general, what you think.
Yeah, and I've been reading around this, right? So I know that we have some small merchants who have started accepting bitcoins, cryptos, but it's at a small scale, right? Of course, as we continue to uncover the efficiencies or any challenges, and then we are able to we are able to mitigate any potential risk, the adoption will only increase. That is my take on this. But again, we would definitely want to wait and watch on how things unfold. But I know, like, we have certain merchants who have started, accepting bitcoins, cryptos. Of course, the main, the critical thing in financial industry is always risk, right? So you need to be very, very careful around that. And I think as we learn from the transactions around these merchants, will probably be in a better position to kind of make it available to tier 1 or even tier 0 clients
And
and
just to be
financial
clear,
institutions.
so I understand, when you say merchants are already, they say it's less than 1%, right? Are
Mhm.
accepting. That still doesn't have anything to do with the big credit card companies, right? I mean, they're doing that outside of a credit card company, correct?
So at the end of the day, right, behind the merchant is an acquirer, right? An acquirer is a bank, right? At the end of the day,
Okay.
right? It's not like you are storing the payment, right? The payment eventually goes to your acquirer. So it's eventually the bank who is allowing the merchants to accept these cryptos or bitcoins.
Okay. Interesting. How long? So how many years do you think it is before it's more mainstream and it's just second nature for people to have to see the integration with big credit card companies, where it's like, it's just, you can't tell the difference. Like right now, outside of that question of how long you think, how many years away are we from that? Tell me why you think there's so much friction. Why with all this new technology and why with all this AI is it still so difficult with these wallets and Web3? And like, is it just because we're so early?
I think there's also this the risk of hallucinations, right? So to your point, yes, we are early. We need to train our models. The better trained the models are, the less risk of false positives, right? And again, it boils down to the hallucinations around it, right? So a very simple example would be like Tesla, right? So although there is FSD, there is supervised FSD, right? So because they're still learning and training their models to make it, fully unsupervised. So I think that's what it is. Like, we are in the early stages, but I do see that, with the newer models coming in and more efficient LLMs coming in, I think, we'll be, we are progressing in the right direction. That's what I
Yeah.
would say, right? I think these false positives would decrease and these hallucinations. Also, again, we need more like, for example, I'm excited about something like explainable AI, right? That's coming, XAI. And what it is, it will provide the trust and audit for what responses the AI is generating, which is very critical for a financial institution or even government or healthcare, right? So I think as we get into these future technologies, I think we'll have like less false positive, less hallucinations, and more robust AI solutions.
And you said earlier about AI and about your team. Have you seen, because you're part of a big corporate company and it's one of the biggest, have you seen jobs replaced with AI yet? Are you seeing that? I mean, we know it enhances jobs for people who are using it as tools, but have you seen it in any other different department, or is that a fear in a big corporate environment like yours, from customer support to general FAQs and everything that deals on the end user that has to communicate with you guys?
That's a very good question, right? So, how I would put this, Chad, is, there's so much work, right, that we have. Things gets prioritized, right? Without AI, we were not able to deliver everything, right? So now what we are trying to do is, now with AI, right, what we are able to redeploy those human capacity in other areas, right? When I say other areas, there's projects, there is innovation, right? So I wouldn't say it is replacing people, but we have been able to deliver more with the same number of people, right? So that's a good way to generate revenue, right? Because if you are able to curb your operating expense and be able to deliver more, that means it turns down to having more net revenue for the company. So that's how I look at it. Like, with we like we will, with AI, right, and with further enhancement, we'll be able to deliver more and faster as well, right, to our customers.
If you were in charge, let me ask you this question. In the world of hierarchy, you have all these people who are reporting to you. I would imagine
Mhm.
globally, you got them everywhere, right? It's not
Yeah,
just in the United States. So you have your
correct.
own challenge. That who are you reporting to?
So I report to senior director
Okay.
at Visa. Yeah, so he's here in Austin.
And how many people, if you were to keep going up that ladder, how many levels are there?
Yeah, I mean, so we have a well-established org hierarchy at Visa Chat. So again, right, for technology, right, technology specific, we have senior director, there is VP, then we have the C-suite, then we have our CEO. But then there's always options to, like, move on the product side or non-tech side, like HR, and they have their own set of kind of org structure, right? So it is a well-established org structure. So there's opportunity to grow not just in technology but also outside of technology.
So let's just hypothetically have a little fun. And let's just say that you quickly climb to the top
Mm-hmm.
of your division and you can make any decision you want. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes to technology, innovation, all the things that like in your head you think about all the time, but chances are
Mm-hmm.
there's people above dealing with different sets of problems and challenges that they're not
Mhm.
thinking. What changes would you make today, knowing what you know, based on your expertise, your capabilities? Like, what's something that you guys are not doing that you would love to be able to do if you could?
Um, what I would say is not just specific to visa, Chad, is one thing that we have, working on different projects. Accessibility is that is again something that we often overlook. And accessibility is something that is very, very critical when we talk about delivering these global products. So what I would want to do is, create a open source global AI tool that can do real quick accessibility audits and be able to cater to everyone, right? Not just like regular person, but someone who is disabled, and be still be able to use the technology, right? At the end of the day, right? Because technology is not just for some, right? It's technology is for everyone. So that is one thing that I see missing, not just in visa, but uh, across the globe in technology. Of course, there is some level of there is some level of visibility now towards accessibility. But yeah, definitely that's something that I would like to kind of build, right, and help everyone.
So let's just say one day, hypothetically, you're not at Visa, you get to go start your own company. What company do you kind of start? What problem would you solve?
Um, let's see. If I have to start my own company, that's an interesting topic. Uh,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, let's just say, for example, that you can use AI, you can use this
mhm.
amazing technology that nobody in the history of the world has ever been able to use. You're at the peak of your career because you have so much knowledge and expertise with what you're doing, which means you can go hire other people. So take the limitations off the table. You can hire a team of people to help you. What would you be passionate about going to do or solve or innovate or complement what you may be doing for another company to partner with another company? Like, what area would you move towards? I mean, there's a lot of people today, a lot of young professionals. They graduate college, they get a diploma, and they don't know what to do, and they have to go get a job, and they find something that they hate, and they're miserable. And they don't realize that there are things that they could go do if they have the skills to do it and go learn the skills to do it. And I'm curious, with someone who has the skills, what's an idea that you think you have, just for fun, that you think you'd move towards to go do?
I mean, my skills have has been like software testing, and within software testing, multiple like we have automation, performance testing, accessibility testing. One of the things that I can think of, right, I'm very passionate about software quality, and some of the challenges that I have seen is there is no single tool that is available that can cater to this different application types, right? Like for performance testing. We have front end testing, we have back end testing, and we use a lot of different variety of tools because there is no single tool or even AI tool that is available that can cater. So I would like to build a tool which can cater to all these different type of software testing types, including security testing. I have the capability, and I can definitely use this capability to build the tool.
And what advice would you give a young professional coming out of college who comes out with a degree that employers don't really care about? They have to go find a job, and
Mm-hmm.
they're tech savvy, but they don't have the tools and resources because playing video games only does so much, right? But they love computers, they love AI, they can use simple
Yes.
tools. What advice would you have for somebody that is going to walk into this world where everything's changing? Everybody's going to have to adapt at some point in their industry to
Mm-hmm.
level up, enhance their skills.
Yep.
But where would you say that someone should start? And like, where would they go? What would they learn? I mean, what do they have to choose between?
Yeah, and that's a very good point, Chad, right? So everyone they have their own interest, right, on what they want to pursue, or maybe if they are not aware of it, right? I would say that internships, right? Internship is a great way of exploring what's there in technology, right, and what's there in technology world, right? So internships, hackathons, right? We have so many industry sponsored hackathons where you can participate because the pain points that we see, right? And there's only so much capacity that we have within our industry, So we go out in the world to see someone else is able to help, and that's a very good opportunity for someone to kind of work on an idea which is a which is a pain point for technology, and gauge their interest, right? So and apart from that, there are so many different forums, right? Like there is like AI forums, there is technology forums, there are different talks. Participate in those, participate on learnings. So those are some of the things I would say, right? And that would help them kind of relate to what's going on in the technology world. And on that front, right, you bring a very good point that I have also started looking into, getting into the advisory board for some of the universities. For example, I am already a board member for University of North Texas, and I'm trying to again bring the same things, right? Hey, in technology, what we are looking at, because it's a evolving thing, right? It's not a static thing. So have them kind of get internship opportunities, or talk about, or even give tech talks, right, or host talks on, or even bring some of my team, right, to talk about the technologies that we are bringing in. So that's something that I'm also trying to work with the universities, and also I think the universities have been very proactive in creating this industry board to bridge the gap between curriculum and technology, right, or real world technology.
Interesting, because the way that all teams used to hire is you have a headhunter or you place an ad in, whatever classifieds you want, online, digital. But having something like a hackathon and getting people to do a real testing interview for either an internship or a position is genius. Like, because you get to see their work, you get to see their skills.
Yep,
You don't have
exactly.
to ask about anything. So it's really cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
I love that. Love that. All right, let me ask you another question. If you and I are having this conversation a year from now, and we're looking back at the past 12 months, what has to happen for you personally, professionally, for you to feel happy, like you've made a lot of progress?
I think for me, again, having a happy family, like personally, is like making sure that we have a healthy family, right? So that is very, very important for me. And from a personal perspective, my health, I make sure that I take care of my health, and that is a very utmost priority for me from a personal perspective. And I would want to continue doing what I have been doing from living a healthy lifestyle, right? And that's not just like, when we talk about lifestyle, it's not 1 year thing. It's like a continual thing. It's a lifestyle, right? And then from a professional perspective, right? It's continue to upskill, right? So upskilling is something that I continue to vouch for in my professional career. Help, as you mentioned, right? Help new college grads get into the industry, see how we can help them bridge the gap, right? I started getting into this advisory board, and I want to make sure that I'm making progress, right, on bridging this gap, right? So that is something would be very critical for me in the next year, in this in the as we look forward to the next year. And then on my team's growth as well, right? So that is also something that is very critical for me, that the team grows, we have the correct work life balance. And then apart from that, of course, AI, right? Be able to continue to integrate AI into our solutions, and be able to recommend, right, efficiencies with respect to the AI models that we are using. So I would say those are some of the things that would be important for me to kind of continue to grow on for the remainder of the year. Right?
Love it. And you work from home?
So I have a hybrid model. So 50% is 50% of the time we go to office, and it helps with healthy collaboration with the team. So I love that model.
And how many hours a week do you think you work?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like I mean, in the typical situation is 8 hours, right? But again, everyone, we have our own personal situation. So there are days where I am less productive, and but there are days where I'm more productive. So the days when I'm less productive, I tend to work more and deliver the same amount of stuff. And the days where I'm more productive, then I tend to make time for other activities, right? Even for my personal health as well. So it's not like a defined number, I would say. Again, it depends on the project priorities, how the day goes, and what we need to deliver.
You have kids?
I do, yes.
How,
So
how,
we had a yeah.
how old are they?
So I just had a baby girl in March. So she's 10 weeks or 11 weeks now. Yeah, and I got into this fatherhood, and it has been an amazing journey.
Wow. Wow. At what age do you think people should be teaching their kids about how to use AI?
I don't think there is a defined age set, right? So at different levels, there are different ways of using AI, right? So for example, just in like a simple example for would be like uh, cooking, right? In my kitchen, right? Like I use so many different appliances, right, which have integrated AI into it. So just so that's a very simple example to teach and learn, right? So I wouldn't say there's a set stage. Now the like again the technical aspect would differ, right, depending on at what age you are, right? So yeah.
It's a hard thing, right? Because you don't want to embed it into your kids so early, but yet you don't want your kids to be behind if
Correct.
everyone's using. But it's a hard balance, and people I don't think have a good handle on it. I mean, my kids who have now in high school everything integrated, ChatGPT gets released while you're in high
Hmm.
school, and teachers don't even know how to like deal with it. They don't know how to, and it's kind of like the calculator. When the calculator came out,
Yeah.
how important is it for you to really know how to do these problems when you could just press a
Mhm.
couple buttons, get the answer? And
Correct.
ChatGPT did everything.
Correct. Yeah, that is so. That is true, and I think probably as you mentioned it correctly, right? We need to find that balance.
So
That is very 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 critical. And again, I think we are in the early stages. I think with further learning enhancement, I think it will be in a much better shape.
great. That's great. All right. So any last advice you would give people? And the people I'm talking to now are people more that are not in your world. They may not be using AI technology to the fullest to be able to enhance their jobs. What advice or what guidance could you give people that really are scared of it?
Uh, so what I would say is, look for, when we talk about AI, right, start with maybe a low risk but a high friction area, and, focus on the ROI, right? And, we don't have to go fancy, see how AI is doing with respect to, this area, and, get that ROI and see if it makes sense. And another thing I would say is, uh, it's a learning curve, right? It's not like a silver bullet, I would say, right? So, you have to give time. You have to have the team iterate, right? You have to have the contextual definition, data modeling. So, you need to kind of mature your AI, right? So train your AI. And also, the another thing I would say is, hallucinations, right? See how you can limit hallucinations, put some guardrails around AI. So those would be some of the things. And then as we continue to see efficiency and that ROI, right, that will only kind of make you work more on the AI side of things.
Very cool. Well, I just want you to know I have a Visa card, and I'm glad there's a guy like you.
Okay,
I'm glad there's a guy like you working there, making sure everything's working right.
awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Uh,
No,
uh,
you're great to talk to. You have a lot of knowledge and a lot to give, and I appreciate your time. And best of luck to you and your team. And as a father, and nothing but best. A lot of health and happiness.
Thank you so much. Likewise said, this is what excites me, right? When I even like when I go to grocery shopping and someone uses Visa card, I tell them that I work at Visa, right? So, so
So
it was great chatting with you, Chad. Wish you the same, and hopefully we get to talk again.
thank you so much. All right, give me 1 second.